My guest today, we've met briefly so many times at so many occasions, and I love her business story. She probably doesn't even realise that she made it quite a bit of difference in my business story too, and she's always been very supportive of me. I loved having the chats with her, and I know, like myself, you'll all want to be friends with her by the end of this. I'm going to introduce you today to the amazing Jo Browne. This series of BBL podcast is brought to you by award-winning skincare brand, Irish-founded, female-founded Ella & Jo by the amazing Charlene Flanagan and Neve Ryan. I will tell you more about Ella & Jo during this episode. So welcome, Joanne. I am delighted to have you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I know all about your business and I know all about your products because you've very kindly gifted me on occasions and I've bought them and everything else. I'm always talking about them to people. But today is all about you. So let's start right back at the beginning. Where were you born?
Yeah, I was born in Carlow, in Clanmore, between Clanmore and Hackestown, a place called Crunaskee. I'm the middle of 7 kids. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And yeah, I had a great childhood.
So you've got 3 above you and 3 below
Yes.
you. And so you're number 4. How does that land? So I'm 2 of 5. So who would you be closest to? And do you land in the top half? So you're sort of a nurturer downwards, or are you bang in the middle?
I'm bang in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would nurture the younger ones. Yes. Absolutely. Even my brother and myself were the same age for a week.
Oh,
so
wow.
we're very, very close.
That's
Irish
amazing.
twins.
Yeah. And such a mix. So did you, when it came to playing and growing up and what you sort of gravitated to, were you out with the boys, bit of a tomboy? Were you with the girls? How did it work?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time down the fields.
Okay.
Yeah, down the fields. My older brother would have made, my goodness, huts and everything. Yeah, so we would have went down the field and then Mummy would shout us for dinner through the fields. Yeah, it was good memories. It's good.
Yeah. But that was the way then, wasn't it? We were outdoors. We were having...
There was no phones.
Yeah.
Or our cousins would walk up and we'd do Wimbledon, pretend we were at Wimbledon. But,
and did you come from a large family? Do you have a lot of cousins around you as well?
Yeah, it's amazing actually. I've 100 cousins on both sides, over 100.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's...
God, that's a stressful year.
So it's brilliant. And we all stay in contact nearly still. We have another wedding now in 2 weeks' time, so we'll all come together again, which is really good.
Amazing. Yeah. God, they must be big weddings.
Yeah, and they're great to see everybody.
Yeah. And I don't know much about Carlow, actually. I mean, all I know is that it's kind of on the same road to Kilkenny. I've only been a few times to Carlow, but what was it like growing up there?
Yeah, Carlow's lovely. We lived out in the countryside, so that was lovely. We would have went to school actually in Wicklow and Ballyconnell.
Okay.
And then we all went to secondary school up the road in Hackestown.
Yeah. And what did your parents do?
My dad is a very, very hard worker, and so is my mum. My dad managed a timber site for years and years, and then he went out on his own and he does garden bark. But he started that from scratch with a hand sieve, and then he bought a little tractor, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company that he literally started in the back of the house from nothing. So he's a grafter, and he still hasn't retired. He's in his 70s now, and he started another business as soon as he retired from there, doing the exact same thing down the road. So he's always out with his calculator. So when you drive into my parents' house, he's still there in the conservatory window with the calculator, still dotting up stuff.
And so did you?
And he doesn't need to work. I mean, he does, but then he doesn't play golf, so. That's
we have to keep ourselves busy,
Keeps
don't we?
ourselves busy, yeah.
Yeah, I often think I don't know how I'm going to manage that, but we'll find a way.
We'll get that, yeah.
Just move to Spain or something like that. Start a business there. But
become an artist.
No, well, my husband is one actually, so he won't have any problems. I can watch him. For you as a child then, what did you gravitate towards? Did you enjoy school? Were you sporty? What was your thing?
I didn't enjoy school now, and that's the kind of one thing I would always kind of say. I always remembered how my teachers treated me. Okay. Even from junior infants all the way up to secondary school. They all played an important effect on my development.
Yeah.
And I always think that teachers don't realise that. But I always remember who didn't treat me nice or who did treat me nice. But I did. I daydreamed in school. I had no interest in school. I went to school. It was okay. But I was easy picked on. I was a bit of a softie.
Okay.
I am a softie.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I'm a softie. Like,
Yeah.
me and my kids can still take the pee out of me.
Michael.
Yeah.
And did you find then, when you say picked on, did you feel sort of pressure at school, or was it more that people...
I was just
you
more
just went
soft.
along?
I always cared about other people. Do you know that kind of a way? I had a caring heart where some people didn't.
Okay.
But I did daydream in school going, I'm going to be something someday.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that. And I still remember, I always said, I'll remember this forever. It was third class, not even third year, third class, daydreaming going, I'm going to be something here.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. I'm going to be something here.
It's funny how different scenarios can motivate us in different ways, isn't it?
And I'll always say to myself, I'll remember that day forever, that I looked out that window and I looked back. And I even said, I look back here in 40 years' time and I'll be somebody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. But because I at that age, I suppose I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I don't do it, by the way. But did you have a thought of what you wanted to be, or you knew you wanted to be something? But
I wanted to be something, but I didn't know what I wanted to be, obviously.
Okay.
But I'd be known for something. I'll be famous for something.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
We should, it was like a picture in your head.
Yes, picture in my head that I was going to be somebody.
Yeah. And so gravitating wise, like, you said you were slightly softer at school. Did you hang out with the same people, or did you stick, because you had a big family? I
hung out with the cool group. Really,
okay, you were the cool group.
Yeah, I was still with the cool group.
Yes.
But probably the softie of the cool group.
Yeah.
But I was with the main girls to be with. So I was, I suppose, something.
And sporty?
I kind of only camogie and stuff like that. I only went for the legs. So it would have been rough.
Okay. I'm really soft, but I went for the legs.
That's it. I remember once actually being... I was an umpire at one stage, and I was banned for forever. I would be a bit rowdy as well.
Hilarious.
I've been opinionated as well, I suppose. If I'm right, I'm right.
Yes.
That's kind of it,
But teams, I think teams are so important for us to get involved in at a young age.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't, especially if we don't have sort of, especially now, I think, where kids don't tend to have part-time jobs as much and stuff like that. Although, we did, but teams can show us and teach us so much about different kinds of people and how we all work together. Did you, as when you were growing up and whilst you were at school, did you ever do part-time jobs? Were you working for your dad?
Oh my goodness, I started
working.
Where
do I start?
I started working at the age of 13.
Yeah.
And I've never to this day not done work.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was
my
your first
story
job?
goes on I worked in 26 different jobs.
Okay.
So I've been a news agent, I've been in a news agent, pot washer, commie chef, civil service, intel, payroll, reflexologist. I have done it all.
I've just ticked off that there's two of those I haven't done.
I've done everything. I've done everything. There's nothing I haven't done.
Yeah.
Door to door. I mean, and even when I had the kids, I was going door to door doing Avon or Oriflame.
Yeah.
So I've always worked.
Yeah. No, and I'd be the same, I think. And I think a lot of the people that I interview in this room are the same. And that's why we've ended up where we have ended up today. But what was your first ever job? Because I know mine.
Oh, mine was a news agent. And I always remember it was £1 an hour.
Yeah.
I sound like 150 here, but it was £1 an hour.
No, mine was about the same.
And I used to have to get up on a Sunday morning and be in the shop for 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But
did you have to sort the papers?
Sort the papers, do the newspaper.
Do you remember sorting the papers?
Yeah.
And then the returns, cutting off the corners.
Yes, and your hands would be filthy. So I've done all of that.
Yeah.
And
but I love that
we had
though.
A break, I suppose, during the day from 1 to 2 or whatever. But you hung around. You couldn't get a lift home, get something to eat. You had to kind of say, I'll hang around
in
for an hour.
Room.
Yeah, or do something where nowadays the kids are picked up, fed and pop back into work. And I think we learned the hard way.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was the hard way. It was the only way we knew.
It was the only way, absolutely.
Yeah, it was the only way. I mean, my first job was, I did the news agent thing. I just really remember that. But my first one was at Greengrocers. And I love numbers. So that was really, really good for me because I could, because there was no, you didn't just add things up on your phone. Yeah. You had to do it all in your head. So with the news agents, did you do that piece? what were you learning as you did those as a young kid
I suppose
at 13?
meeting and greeting different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And having the maddest conversation with people. Like, and I'd be always wondering, why did they tell me that? But now I know because probably had no one else to tell.
Yes.
You know, it's like going to the hairdresser or going somewhere, you'll always tell them, tell them stuff you won't tell anybody else.
Yeah.
Or meeting someone on a train randomly, you'll probably tell them your life story.
I know. And then you tell them your life story and then they go, oh my God, I think I might know someone that knows you. And you're like, oh no. That's Ireland for
But
you.
we tend to talk to strangers more, don't we?
Yes, we do. And so from school, did you want to continue or school was enough for you or did you go on to college?
So I didn't do Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have got enough points probably to go to college, even though I would have got enough points if I did the Irish, that kind of a way. But it was my choice not to do the Irish. So I did a communications course in Crumlin.
Amazing.
But then I worked in the Portobello pub in Dublin as well. So it was have a few drinks after work or go to college the next morning, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was there.
But I had a fun time.
Yes.
And then we lived in Camden Street, like a load of us in Camden Street on this four-floor house. So we had the best time. Like,
how many of you live in there?
I don't know. At one stage, we started with 5 or 6. I think we could have ended up with 30. Like, I remember rent being €4 a week or something. We had so many people in the house.
Yeah.
But they were the fun days, and I think you have to have the fun days, don't you?
Yeah, and I think actually hospitality is a great starting block for anybody.
Oh, absolutely, isn't it?
It really is because I mean, I went from pubs to gyms, and I always remember saying it's exactly the same, just people aren't pissed.
Yeah.
Literally, it's the same. Hospitality is hospitality. Being serving people and being good to people is. And I don't know if is it a natural thing for people.
I think you have it or you don't have it. Yeah, you need to have the banter, don't you?
Yeah.
Even like I'm in Kildare Village at the moment, and when I do go in, like it is about having the chat and the banter, and getting to know the customer.
Yes.
And what their needs are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's very easy then to sell a product to somebody if you have the chats beforehand.
Yes. Yeah, I always say actually, sometimes people do a lot of eventing and they're like, oh, it was very, very quiet. I mean, how many people did you speak to then?
Yeah, so you have to go over.
Because we don't do that market research like that anymore.
Yeah. There's no point doing an event unless you're going to be out there.
Big time.
Yeah, because there's no point standing there behind a table and wishing people aren't going to go over. You have to bring them over with small conversation and then bring them in. And so it's one thing in our shop in Kildare Village. Like, I would have hired all my staff this time around.
Yeah.
And there's one rule, when someone comes into the shop, we never say, can I help you? We're not allowed to say that.
Okay.
Because that is kind of a question where it's an answer is going to be...
Do I look like I need help?
Yeah, the answer is no.
Yeah.
So we approach it all so differently. We say, have you heard of the brand?
Yeah.
And if not, we tell them. And if they have, we bring them over to their best product. So
Only we knew all this back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to think of my first retail. So when did sort of retail product, when did that come into your life even? You've done the communications, you spent all your time in the pub, you've just told me that. So like, what was the first job that you had, I suppose, where you went, this I feel comfortable in, I like doing this?
God, it took a good while. I did civil service for 3 years.
Okay.
Hated every minute because I never knew what I was doing. I wasn't busy enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what my purpose was there.
Okay. Well.
No idea. Sorry, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I worked in Intel and we used to do 3 12-hour shifts in Intel, putting on the motherboards.
Yeah.
Or putting on a little component. But at least I knew what I was doing there and I was doing constructive and I was keeping the line running and I was so well paid. I think I went back to when my Leah and Scott were babies, I went back and did a reflexology course.
Okay.
And I always said it fascinating. I really, really loved reflexology. Just really loved it. But then I wasn't happy. I built a little shed in the garden, was doing reflexology. And then I had to go on and do the beauty and do the holistic massage. So that would have been my last thing to do.
How did you know you loved reflexology though? What happened? You must have gone to a reflexologist. You must have...
No, I just kind of wanted something different.
Okay.
I thought, reflexology. Feet. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I love feet. Feet are fine.
Yeah, I'm a fan of feet.
Yeah, feet are okay. I think it's just a whole amazing thing of the reflexology.
So who did you train with for reflexology?
I trained in a private college in Carlow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't think of her name, but she was really, really amazing.
Okay.
And I think I got the highest in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
and it was good.
You fell for it.
Yeah, because I was able to do everything. I was able to answer everything. And I think it was because when you're in school and you're in secondary school, you have the same teachers the whole way along. So they just presume your ticket first class, you're going to be just ticked by the time you finish school.
Yeah.
Like and that was always noted, because I remember handing in someone else's homework one day and she got an A and still I got a D.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's the same homework. So that day I went, look at, yeah, sometimes your class does that and then you're not given a second chance or whatever. And even for my Leaving Cert, I mean, I really did teach myself.
Yes.
I got all the past papers and did my own. I do think differently, I suppose. And that makes me, I suppose, who I am today. I'm not textbook, I think differently.
Yeah.
And the problem I would have had is kind of not answering the questions in Leaving Cert. It wasn't it was the way the questions were asked that I couldn't understand. So what I would have been doing is getting out a dictionary and putting the questions into simple English. Does that make sense?
I completely understand you.
Yeah.
My brain is very similar to yours.
Yeah. Where if I could understand the question, I might probably give it an answer. But then they'd put these big words in the question. I'm like, I didn't learn that word.
Yeah.
So I spent most of my time looking up the questions so I could understand if I could answer it.
And this is what I always say. We're actually talking about this to a friend yesterday about the pressure of kids last week getting their, their results and stuff like that. However, I only heard really success stories from kids on the radio. And then I was like, how did the children feel that weren't interviewed after that? Got an issue here. We're only constantly just slapping the back of the people that did really, really well. Yeah. We need to have had conversations with the kids that didn't do so well and find out why they didn't do, because there's only one way of teaching.
Absolutely.
And it didn't work for me. Didn't work for you. Yeah. Didn't work for a lot of people that I speak to. I'm 100% like yourself, a visual learner.
Yes.
And once somebody explains something to me, it's in me for life. I'm like a sponge.
Yes.
But I learned through speaking to people and watching people.
Yeah.
But that's not something that they
paper,
do.
Kind of.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah. I can't open it. If I open a book, it doesn't sink in. If I listen.
Yes.
So I'm an audio listener.
Yeah. That's what I found, just the way the questions were asked in the Leaving Cert.
Yeah.
And like, why was the question so tough? Never mind trying to answer the question.
That still happens to me today. Someone will send me an email and go, have you got your
Well, that's one thing
DB
about me
day,
and emails. Someone might send me a big long email and I'll go, hi, that's great, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
Because I believe it answers the question.
Yeah.
Don't need to send 5 paragraphs to me.
I'm interviewing myself here. Because I actually, when I first get to know people, always say to them, just to let you know, if I ever send you an email that's short, I'm not being abrupt. Really? Yeah, because I just need to move on.
I just don't have time.
Yeah, no, I need to move on.
I don't have time to write you 5 paragraphs.
Yes.
You have answered the question now. See you then, bye.
Yeah, no, too long, didn't read.
And sometimes WhatsApp is a voice message because I haven't got time.
Yeah.
I haven't got time to
that's mad. So that you definitely found something in that reflexology. You set up your business and you said you went on then to do beauty. I want to say thank you so much to Ella and Joe, our sponsors of this episode of Be-Bell Podcast. Ella and Joe is all about bringing a joy and vibrancy to skincare. Each product is inspired by nature and boosted by science, designed to deliver the most amazing results, but also to be kind to your skin. It is luxury moments that brighten up our day. And as always, I want to bring it back to me with my 2 hero products. The 3-in-1 Hyaluronic Spritz, it stays in my bag all the time. And if you haven't tried Melt Away, then it's a must. It's the most beautiful cleanser. And don't forget, all Be-Bell listeners can get 20% off all full-size products online. Just use the code BeBell at checkout. So thank you, Ella and Joe, for sponsoring this series of Be-Bell Podcast.
Yeah, so that would just before I launched Joe Browne, really.
Okay.
So that would have been my last job, my reflexology job.
Okay, but you were doing the reflexology and went back to, because like we're talking about learning here, and first year beauty is not easy.
Absolutely.
It's first year nursing.
It's first year nursing. Yeah.
I know, because I did it too.
Yeah. I didn't do the machines or anything like that. I done the very basic one.
I did face, hands, feet.
But we would have done anatomy and physiology.
Yeah, anatomy and physiology.
Well, that came into reflexology as well. We had to learn the whole book.
Yeah.
So I learned stuff that I found it really interesting, even though I hated science in school.
Well, I wouldn't have been.
But I was really determined. Like I've done it, and I used to go to the Dinnery pub in Carlow. 2 hours beforehand, and I'd study.
Yes.
And I was really determined because I wanted this to be a success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So did you offer all beauty then in your
I did
little...
my little shed, I used to call it.
Okay.
My little shed.
So you were doing facials?
Yes, I was doing with Eve Taylor.
Okay.
Eve Taylor.
Yeah.
I loved her stuff,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. I done facials, we done eyebrow waxing, tints.
And so then when you introduced everything, what became it? Because I'm a facial girl. I love to give a facial.
Yes.
And I love receiving a facial.
I love a facial, but give me like loads of blackheads and stuff.
Oh yeah, want to squeeze.
Even if they don't ask, I'd be squeezing them anyway. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
And even if I was doing their eyebrows and there was a little blackhead on the cheek, I might get it too.
Yeah. An extra few minutes there.
Yeah.
Amazing. So at which point then you're doing these beautiful treatments on people.
Yes.
I think it's such a lovely trade. I love beauty, as you know, and because everybody comes in feeling a certain way and they feel always, hopefully, feeling better.
Yeah.
You're doing that. At what point do you go, I think I would like to do my own range?
Yeah. Jessica was born then.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jessica was born. So I went back to work after 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So she's 10 now. So,
baby over the shoulder.
Yeah, in with the yoke. And I was doing treatments, pinning her in because she was a baby.
Yeah.
So it was much easier than being a toddler. I don't know. I don't really know how it all started. I was wearing solid perfume.
Okay.
And I was getting it in from Australia and different places. And I remember trying to get more in from Australia, and the woman said, I don't do it anymore now. And, but I always had this love for solid perfume anyway since the day I think I was 10.
Yeah.
I just always had this real love for solid perfume. Someone had a solid perfume and they bought home from somewhere and it was in a little vase, and I remember opening it and just the whole feeling of it. And I said, sure, how hard it would be to make my own. Literally, that's what I did. Now, it did take 2 years.
Yeah.
So then I was looking for packaging. It took 2 full years. I was looking for packaging and I spotted this bamboo tube. And I said, I wonder if I could get solid perfume into that. Wouldn't that be so exciting? Because no one has ever done that. So I bought 3,000 tubes in with nothing on them. And I said, sure, how am I going to... I can't put a label on these beautiful tubes. So Mammy put me in contact with a laser company down the road. Now, they would engrave plaques and trophies and everything. And I went down with this tiny little tube and I said, you couldn't engrave that for me. Now, she did kind of laugh and it was funny, I suppose. But seriously, I kept her son, her business going for a full year. Yeah. Because I was getting her to laser constantly. Amazing. Now, I did get outsourced afterwards. I did, because it was just easier. And for me in the long run, and for everybody, I think, because we're so small.
Here comes the woman.
And then I went to the enterprise board and showed them, and they said it was an amazing idea. And I was like, okay. And some people kind of laughed, and some people, and I remember telling someone, a neighbour down the road, and I said, I remember going out with the girls in the pub first. Yeah. And I was always doing something like, and I was in Dublin, and I said, lads, what am I going to call my company? And they were like, oh, I don't know. I said, well, I call it Joe Browne. And they were like, oh no, that's very like Joe Malone. And I said, who's Joe Malone? Okay. I didn't know, honestly, did not know who Joe Malone was.
You only know what you know.
Yeah. And they were saying Joe Malone perfumes go into Browne Thomas. I would never shopped in Browne Thomas and I don't wear perfumes. Yeah. So, but anyway, to this day, I'm still called Joe Malone. Some people might walk into Kildare Village and go, oh, sorry, I thought it was Joe Malone. So I got him back in and I go, no, it's Joe Browne. Yeah. Irish company.
Absolutely.
I met Joe Malone a few times as well. But so took 2 years to start that.
But like you say, you started with those solid perfumes. I mean, if you look at your range now.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I first sort of started to notice you and the perfumes and the soaps. Yeah. And then I think, and now I look at the bedding and I mean, it's just mad.
I never thought I was going to be bringing out bedding.
It's beautiful.
I suppose the thing what happened and how it, I emailed everybody, Browne Thomas, you name it, I emailed them. And sure, nobody got back to me. No one even answered me, to be honest with you. And I remember then in January, so I launched in June. In January, the enterprise board said to me, well, you wouldn't represent Carlo for Showcase. And I said, oh God, no. And they said, come on, please do it. And I was like, oh, me up there? Yeah. So I did do it. I had a little stand upstairs. It was 2 metre by 2 metre.
What year was that?
That was 2000. I launched in 2016. So that was 2017. So that was my big year, 2017. Okay. So, and then I went upstairs. Didn't know what really I was doing. Well, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't really. And I remember being there for 3 days, and I remember I wouldn't even go to the toilet because I was afraid I might miss a customer. And I remember this woman coming over, the woman that did the laser stuff for me.
Yeah.
She goes, Joanne, will you go get something to eat? And I went, you better not miss anybody. Because I was really like, you know,
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Like. And then all of a sudden, all these photographers came around me, and I had won the overall gift category for the show.
Amazing.
And I was like, me? And I was like, oh my God. And so then everybody wanted to know who's Jo Browne? Who's she?
So who was the first company your first collaboration, your first company that
Kilkenny.
It was, yeah.
Yes, it was Kilkenny. Laura came around and she goes, I don't like those stands, Joanne. And I said, because I had plastic stands, so I didn't know.
What stand as you threw them?
Yeah, I didn't know what stands I was supposed to have. I was never really in a shop. And I remember running after a showcase and I said, no, I'll get you a wooden stand. And I even did it better. I got her a bamboo stand.
Yeah.
So that's how it all started. But then the problem was I was in these shops and there was a little stand and the other companies were coming in and squishing me.
Yes.
And squashing me. They weren't squishing and squashing me, but I had just one little product. So it was time to start launching new products.
Yeah.
So we've no outside chemists. We've nobody. I formulate. I do everything. So how, people might ask.
Yeah.
By hard work.
Yeah.
And some people might look at me and go, you formulated, or you? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Because I always have this thing with people look at me and go, you're Jo Browne. Does that make...
We need to have a chat after this.
Sometimes I feel
take this lady through a little coaching session.
But sometimes I just feel not as confident at that, like...
We all have those voices in our heads.
Yeah, and I'm like, yes, I wouldn't... What's the point in having a company if I have to get someone else to formulate it?
Yeah.
That's not my product then, is it? Now, obviously, you might get a little bit of help along the way with different ingredients.
And you have to get it tested.
Tested and all that as well. That all has to be done.
But you have the initial idea of what you'd like to put together.
Yes, absolutely. So, so that was the cleansing balm came.
So you do stitch your pillowcases? Sorry.
What?
I've just got images now of you stitching your pillowcases.
I do, yeah.
But yeah, so how do you choose though? How do you choose what comes next, when it comes, where you want to go?
Well, I suppose cleansing balm, because I love the cleansing balm myself.
Obsessed.
So, I mean, I made thousands of them. It was ridiculous. I gave up 100 times. And like when we started making that cleansing balm, we had 2 microwaves, 3 Pyrex dishes and 2 silver bowls.
Okay.
You know, that's how we made it each time. It was very hard.
Yeah.
But now we have a big machine where we just put all the ingredients in and let it bubble away and then we hand pour it.
You know what? Though it's very hard to get a balm right.
Yes.
And especially for someone that travels like myself. The amount of balms that I bought over the years, and I've been buying them for years, and I've got to my destination and gone, oh my God, they've turned to water.
So what we did with that, I bought loads of balms and a couple of hot summers we had.
Just leave
I left them
out.
outside. And I was so shocked at the ones that melted into water. I was like, what? And mine didn't.
It's absolutely, it's amazing how many do
and
actually.
Same with the perfume. Perfume is hard to make.
Yeah.
But same with the perfume. I got someone to bring it to Spain and back again. Just for a little trip.
It's the best way to test though, isn't it? To physically test.
Physically test it.
Yeah.
And then it was the bamboo face cloth after that. And then I think what we did was what I did, because I have to stop saying we got ingredients from the bamboo tree.
Yes.
You know, so it was bamboo extract and the serum and then bamboo powder and our scrub and, you know, been in the bamboo completely together.
It is
so
amazing.
I wasn't using bamboo packaging. I was the first company in Europe to use bamboo packaging. And I'm kind of the first company in Europe still to use, I suppose, the bamboo ingredients.
Yeah.
So we have magnestine in our body oil. So we're the only company in Europe, I think, in the world that uses that, because we get that specially made in Italy for ourselves.
Yeah.
So we have to get things specially made.
No, absolutely.
So I never been out of product unless it has a certain ingredient that no one else uses. Or there's something in it that's special.
That's your little USP.
That's my USP.
I always say everybody can do similar things, but you have to have a different sprinkling on the top.
Yeah, you have to have that something that no one else has.
If you're the cake maker, everybody makes cakes, but how do you finish them?
How do you finish them? So we were bringing out the moisturiser.
Yeah.
And we had Bakuchi oil in it, which is an alternative to retinol. And I remember we just had it over the line and Ella and Joe launched theirs. And I said, oh no. So we were hoping to be the first. They don't even know this story, but it was funny.
Oh, bless them.
Yeah, so we didn't get ours out till about 4 months later.
It's
And I
amazing,
thought,
actually.
could I be the original doing that? But actually, it's funny, retinol's been banned now. Anything over 3% retinol has been banned now after Christmas. So, and they do now kind of are saying bakuchion, and I'm like, oh God, that's amazing. That's what I was looking at.
It is.
And that's what I've done.
And it's funny, isn't it? You know, you mentioned Ella and Joe. We've got so many phenomenal Irish
Absolutely.
companies.
Yes.
I love watching it. I love watching all of you. I just think it's mesmerising.
What's
Absolutely.
next?
What's
Yes,
coming
yes,
next? What's
yes.
coming next? And so now, how old are your children now?
Now, this day,
Yeah.
today.
Today.
Leah's 21.
Yeah.
She'll be 22 in October. Scott's 19. And Jessica's 10.
And so that's a big gap.
Yeah, it's a big
Yeah,
gap.
we have a big gap like that in our
Yes,
family.
yes.
And so what do they do? Like, what do they think of Mum? Are they working with you? What do they want to do in the future?
Well, we'll start, I suppose, with Jessica. She's
Yeah.
here in Dundrum at the moment shopping.
Amazing.
Yeah, so she's brilliant. I love her.
Yeah.
And she's good. She would do face cloth tags for me, or well, she'll do something. Or if I was busy and there was an orders in, she'd put all the orders together and I'll pack them.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Learning.
she'll do whatever needs to be done. It's kind of all hands on. Same with all my employees.
Yeah.
Like I bought a girl in to do the wages, but like she'll put labels on as well. So this is the way it is. Jessica's going into 5th class. Absolutely hates school, but we'll get her there.
Yeah, well,
She
it's
loves
not for
horses.
everyone.
She has her own horse.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. And she's
Horses are
good.
great for kids.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
They keep them away from
And
boys as well.
They disappear. Like Leah, she trained some of the groups, and so 2 of them leave on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock and don't come back till 6:30. So I'm really blessed.
Okay.
And that's my day for parting around
Yes.
in my sheds, because they're in my garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott he'll know tomorrow whether he got college or not. He took a year out. Scott loves his Xbox. He's amazing. He's the best. Not like the girls. The girls get everything. He's just so quiet. But he surprised us all this summer, and he went to Bali on his own and travelled in Bali for 25 days on his own, and he did it all.
Yeah.
And like, wow.
That's a great
So
experience.
he just so surprised us all.
Yeah.
But he did it, and I'm delighted. He had the best time ever. And then Leah is starting her 3rd year this year in bioscience in Carlow.
Okay.
Yeah, she plays rugby. So she was playing a match there. She plays for Tullow Rugby, and she plays for Carlow College as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's all good. I do everything for them. As people that often ask, you have people saying, "What's the purpose of life? And what's the purpose of this?" But it's really for the next generation. It's to keep the next generation going and teaching them so they can pass it on for the following generation.
Yeah.
Really, isn't it?
What do you do for you?
What?
What do you do for you?
Nothing. Mommy does be giving out to me.
Yeah. No, because I'm saying, you have such a beautiful self-care brand.
Yes.
You do everything for your children. It sounds, also they help you.
Yeah.
But, being, this all started because my niece loves herself and is so belle, and she's now 9. She was 4 when this started, but she's still got it. And I'm like, and then actually I was on holiday with my nieces the other week, and the next 4-year-old, Gwenarvan is her name, she's a Welsh name, but she's going to be a millionaire. I'm like, she meets everybody in the morning and she just says, "Morning, oh, Auntie Sean, I do like your hair. Good morning, Auntie Kim. Oh, Auntie Kim, I think your dress is beautiful." I'm like, she greets everybody with a compliment. I'm like, oh my God, she's a networker's heaven. Like, she's going to be a millionaire. But what do you do for you?
I do plan a day out here or there. I mean, I went to Electric Picnic on the Sunday. I absolutely loved it. That's my style. Hey. What's my pastime? My pastime is sleeping, probably. When I do have an hour's like power nap. I like my own time.
Okay.
I like just sitting down on my own, or just powering out in the shed, or tidying up the house. Or I know that sounds, but
so
that's
those
me.
Saturdays are important to you.
Yes. Oh God, dear.
Yeah.
Jessica was going to give up horse riding at one stage, and I went, no. You need to keep going.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to have that space. So
simple stuff.
Yeah.
That keeps me happy, I think.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a holiday booked. It's no harm.
No, I always have one booked.
Yeah, it's nice. I need to book one now, actually, when I go home, because I don't have one booked.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep you accountable for that.
Okay.
So what is next for you?
So we're in Kildare Village at the moment. We've 2 very exciting things happening, and I can't say anything, but it's going to be...
I know.
It's going to be absolutely huge for the brand.
Yeah.
It's going to be like worldwide huge.
Yeah.
And I just can't say anything at the moment, but we'll keep you updated.
Well, I remember your year. I remember it well. My business had opened the year before, and it was actually my next door neighbour in my business in Douglas that introduced me to your brand.
Oh, wow.
And I have absolutely loved following the journey.
Thank you.
I'm so, I love the Kilkenny shop. I didn't know that they'd given you your first sort of step in, but I think they're amazing what they do for Irish brands all around the country. And I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah.
I know a couple of little secrets, but they might be.
So we didn't launch anything this year.
Yeah.
We didn't launch any more products this year. I have them all, and we're going to launch 3 next year.
Okay.
We're launching something. I can't even say. I'm afraid. But yeah, this year was all about rebranding.
Yeah.
So we put all our oils into boxes because they weren't in boxes. And I always thought, oh no, boxes is cool. It's cool till you go and see them displaying in a shop.
Yes.
And they're all over the place and they're opened and their stuff.
Yeah.
So we put them into box. Really nice new branding for her scrub. Our moisturiser one is coming in. Nice Christmas gift sets. We're staying
beautiful,
more or less the same, but just new branding. We've a lovely new cosmetic bag being launched.
Okay.
So no one has seen that. I'll shoot you now.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we're just keeping it simple this year.
Right.
Getting it. You have to go back to the start the whole time. It's like the cleansing balm wasn't a plastic container, now it's glass.
Yes.
So you have to go back to the start.
Yeah.
You don't have to change your
tiny
ingredients.
increments of improvement, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just how we make things better.
And because I could bring out 3 new products and then they'd look. I wanted everything in the shop floor. My shops are very important to me.
Yeah.
And I wanted everything to look right on the shop.
Absolutely. And I'm all about Christmas. What will you be doing this Christmas?
Oh, very simple. Just very simple as well. Yeah.
Now, you've got a big family, so how does that work?
We all go different houses and do different things, yeah. But I like simple. I like lighting the fire and simple life. Yes, I will plan it.
Christmas.
Now, if I do go out, I do go out. But that way, I do let loose. I won't say I don't.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I like the simple life, don't we all?
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just getting old.
No.
But I like having something planned that I'm going to go out and get dressed up and go out.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be watching. Thank you so much for joining me today. That was brilliant. I loved it. Thank you,
Jo.
so
much.
So thank you for listening to this week's Be-Bell podcast. Don't forget, you can find us on social media. If you've got any questions, then please don't hesitate to DM us at bbell_wellness. You can also find this on our YouTube channel, which is my YouTube channel, Sian Horn. And don't forget, the more people that subscribe, the better that we can make this pod. So don't forget, like and subscribe across all channels. And thank you.